All right, here we go. OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, Yo-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's up?
What's happening, everybody? How's everyone doing?
Just out of curiosity, are you wearing your Mike Tyson undershorts today?
Oh, my. That was the most exciting thing about it, seeing his bare ass.
Yeah. Like, what a maneuver. He's got the sumo wrestler shorts on.
It was like the scene out of a comedy show where the guy walks away and then you look and you're like, no way.
Why did he hug and kiss the host, too? Like, how does he know that guy? Or is that just Mike's routine? Whoever he sees,
I don't think
he goes, love you, bro, and walks away.
No, I think they're, like, tight. I think they were buddies.
Okay, I would assume so, but with him, you never know, Noodles. He could walk in right now and go, cheek, love you, bro, and leave. And I'd be like, that sounds about right for Mike Tyson. With his bare ass completely out
as he walks away. That was like a Naked Gun like skit. That's what it was. It was ridiculous.
That made everything worth it. Because the fight itself turned out to be exactly what we said it would be.
That stole 4 hours of my life.
Embarrassing.
And the streaming.
Fraudulent.
Like
streaming was ugly.
Netflix was in one.
Well, people in the States are freaking because Netflix has the Christmas Day game, the NFL game.
Yeah.
And it's a big one. I want to say it's like Chiefs Steelers, like biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
And if there's a buffering issue, you better figure that out.
People will be choked.
Roger Goodell is going to be snapping on people.
So I don't know how you guys felt. I had, High Live, whatever that sport is, it's one of the most rigged sports.
Mm-hmm.
That was rigged the other night.
Well, but he's also 58 and he can't move.
I know, but like there were times where I thought, okay, like he could have hit him harder or could at least tried to hit him, and it was like he's standing there like a zombie. But you see him training.
As if the guy was going 8 rounds. Come on,
Jake
man.
Paul was never setting up anything where he doesn't win.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the reality is.
Did you see the memes after? He's like fighting Joe Biden next. He's like, there were some funny ones.
Oh, it's on fire. And they made a fortune. He's a brilliant marketer.
Yeah.
Brilliant troll. He knew you bring Tyson in, that's what's going to sell. I got to see Tyson.
Well, even Dana White had some comments Saturday night about it afterwards. He said, like, Tyson moves the needle. He goes, the other guy's a YouTuber. He goes, that guy doesn't move the needle like Tyson does.
He gets a lot of people talking,
He does. And you know what? Credit to them. They made a boatload of cash, and it was free. It's not like it was a pay-per-view. That was free. If you have a Netflix account, you watch it.
Yeah.
I watched it outside of the streaming issues and all that. I was disappointed because I kept thinking, I think maybe the old man in me was like, okay, I'd like him to pop him.
I'd like to see him get one.
But he got one early.
Thought.
Like he got one early, and I was like, it almost looked like, okay, I better not do that. And then you hear all these conspiracy theories. It's like, if he knocked him out, he wouldn't have got paid. Like the longer he went, the more rounds. Like again, I don't know. It was just a poor product on both sides. Like I was disappointed with it.
Apparently
dead with dust.
Apparently it was his son, I think, that was the reporter in the room. So that would make sense.
That's fair.
That he was going in for the hug and the kiss and the I love you and then mooning everybody on the way out.
On the way out.
But that happened. And John Jones won on Saturday night. That was wild in UFC. And the Leafs won on Saturday. The Argos won. Shout out to the Argos. Nick Arbuckle was unreal. And it turned into a pick-6 contest in the fourth quarter, where Zach Collaros, was injured. He had his cut finger, but Collaros in the Grey Cup has been a disaster. I mean, you got to call it what it is. The last few years, he hasn't thrown a touchdown.
Did his finger fall off?
I don't know what happened because he was bleeding, I wouldn't say profusely, but it was obviously an issue. He got hit pretty hard, and he was in a bad place.
But after that, he was throwing like...
It was muffin after muffin.
That was the whole game. It seemed like they exhausted so much energy trying to get him back in the game, and I get it. He's your number one quarterback. But as soon as he came back in, it was a gong show.
Yeah.
And it was like...
He couldn't play.
I don't know if they were going to win the game, but as soon as he went down, that was the end of the game. Because I don't know if they would have won with the other guy, and they weren't going to win with him in his hand like
that's true. And Nick Arbuckle was really good.
Credit to the Argos.
Run game was really good. The
They were
Argos
great.
showed up. We talked to Ryan Dinwiddie on Friday. He said, listen, we know we're underdogs based on the board. Based on what FanDuel is going to tell you or whatever, but we don't feel like underdogs based on how much we love this room. We love the way we operate, and we're going to go out there and punch them in the face.
Yep.
And they did that, and full credit to the Argos. That's 2 Grey Cups in the last 3 years.
I saw an underdog situation win as well over the weekend yesterday in some football games. Were you guys underdogs or not?
Hazenbro, is that what you're talking about? When
and
we
then
were...
you released a cheeky video.
Well,
today.
I felt it was necessary for me to address people because I don't want to be associated with a certain section of the online community because I found it hurtful. Some people, a lot of people, are calling them Millie Vanilli Wilson. They're saying you and Luke are the Millie Vanilli of sports gambling.
Oh, really? Who said that?
A lot of people are saying it, and I'm trying to stop it. So I sent out an email today saying, stop doing that.
The Millie Vanilli of sports.
The Millie Vanilli of sports gambling.
Oh, my God.
And Millie or Vanilli will be in at 5. And we're on the verge of an immaculate week. If we could, you guys are picking a game tonight.
Yeah.
But what a day it was yesterday of football. Like, where you had the Ravens-Steeler game was phenomenal. The Bears-Packer game was great. Chiefs-Bills was great. Right into the Argos doing what they were doing. And last night, Burrow and company almost found a way to come back. And they did, and the Chargers end up basically punching a ticket to the playoffs last night. And the Bengals effectively said, we're done. Peace out. See you later. Their playoff pursuit is officially over, I think.
Is there more missed punts, missed field goals this year than it seems like more? Maybe it's about the same.
See, you know what's happening, Noodles, is now guys are making 50-yarders in their sleep.
Yeah.
Coaches are sending everyone out to make 50-yarders, 52, 53-yarders. And when they miss, it's shocking.
Right.
Where 20 years ago,
It was like
no one went out to even attempt a 50-yard kick. If you were outside of like 45 yards, no one was attempting it.
So it's more like the progression of how good the kickers become.
They're so good. They're so automatic. Guys are hitting 60-yarders in their sleep.
Yeah.
And we've become accustomed to, well, he's got to make that 53-yarder, and they're not making them every once in a while, and it's like a shocking event.
But
and that's what's happening.
First thing I thought of you, because I was watching the Green Bay-Chicago game.
They got lucky there. They stole that game, the Packers.
But it was like to me, that seems just like a chip shot. Now, I've got a question for Luke when he comes in, because it's driving me nuts. The sheer physics of this. If you believe that you have a chance to get blocked, why are you not going back a few extra feet so you can get more loft on that ball?
I mean, it's more, I think, about the offensive line
like, is there
not stopping the penetration.
But is there a set amount, like 12 yards back, they do it or whatever?
It's fairly standard.
It's fairly standard. But my point being is, like, to avoid these types of things, because I feel like every weekend right now we're seeing a guy miss a critical field goal.
Well, the week before, Denver got blocked against the Chiefs, and then
so
obviously we saw what happened to the Bears.
I think it's a few feet back and get a bigger loft on it.
All I know is yesterday, Luke said it on Friday. We had Lamar lost. Mahomes lost, and then
Joe Burrow
loses to, like, it's just, we had those three quarterbacks and didn't get a
You'd bet on them every day of the week, though. You would.
Every day of the week. And you guys had Jaden Daniels to start the week.
But how about
Jaden Daniels, the rookie of the year, into Lamar, probably MVP, into the GOAT Mahomes, into Burrow, who's a stud, and you lost every single one.
But how about Josh Allen deserving some love?
He deserves so much love.
Dude, I'm starting to, like, the Bengals, they're just garbage. Like, they're
They
trash.
can't win. They find a ways to lose, man.
Yeah, they're trash.
And I think that's official. They're in Jets territory now.
Yes.
Go stand over there. You're out of the conversation now.
This Aaron Rodgers. Look,
now it's everyone else's fault. Like, his numbers actually weren't that bad. Like, Rodgers wasn't that bad statistically, yet after the game, he's like, I thought we were going for 2. Turns out we weren't. Like, now he's going to throw everyone else under the bus now. Everyone else is going under the bus.
If they bring that guy back, they are criminally insane. Like, if you bring that guy back, but just to continue this nonsense, you've got to be insane.
But is he I don't think he's the problem. I think there's talent around him problem.
Their defense has not been very good. It's dysfunctional. They shouldn't have fired Robert Saleh because they've been worse since he left.
Right.
Rodgers, when he's not on, it's a mess. There's a lot wrong. There's a lot of poison there.
Last play, I don't know, like he was lateral or something. He was under siege.
And he got crushed, and he's trying to throw a Hail Mary there. I mean, that if you're relying on that, you're in big, big trouble. But, there's a lot to get into today. We got the nail gun coming up. Dave Naylor will join us in about 15 minutes. He was in the building last night for the Grey Cup. Get his take on how unlikely it was that Nick Arbuckle ends up winning the MOP of the game and how well he played.
How scheduled to play.
Exactly. I mean, prior to the fourth quarter or third quarter in Montreal, you're thinking, all right, Chad Kelly's the man here for Toronto, and now Nick Arbuckle.
I didn't have a job 2 weeks into the season.
Exactly.
Good
and now
now
you see what he did, how emotional he was. His family was there. He's got a young family. It was a really, really cool scene.
Awesome.
So the nail gun will join us in about 15 minutes as we look back on the Argos and their Grey Cup and where the Blue Bombers go from here. Luke coming up today, CJ coming up today. You see some news on Auston Matthews. Just not going this week. Like, something is going on here. And what drives me crazy is that the NHL allows this kind of stuff. The Leafs are just going to do whatever they're allowed to do.
Fair enough.
Right? Whatever the rules are, they don't have to give you any information. We still live in an era where you don't know who's starting in net on any given night.
That could probably
should change. Probably should. And now you have...
How is it allowed with the gambling and everything involved?
Well, that's the most obvious pillar.
Right.
Is that you're in bed with gambling. That's the world we live in now. Everyone's in bed with gambling. There's all partners, and it's legalized, and every state does it, and provinces and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And you don't know who's starting. But furthermore, like Matthews now, this has been 3 weeks day to day.
And
now he's
silent.
not even skating, and they're just saying he's not playing Wednesday. I'm pretty sure Berube said, like, not playing this week.
Which,
like, it's one thing to say we have time. It's another thing, just admit something is going on here with this guy that is concerning.
Okay, so the only narrative coming out of this, and CJ will expand on it because we're not insiders, but I think they want to, if he's nicked up with something that you want to be 100% healed, that it never comes back.
But how do you ever conclude that?
I don't know.
And how do you know, like,
if it's a broken bone or it's something that it's like, okay, this is 3 weeks to heal, and then you start skating. I don't know.
And maybe they knew that a week or two ago. But when it's coming out, it's trending in the right direction. It's almost there. And now it's all of a sudden, actually, he's just not skating, and he's not playing this week.
Calle Yarncroke today, just like...
Right. Well, there's a better example. Like, Auston Matthews is a lightning rod because of who he is.
Of course.
And the amount of
captain and
content that gets created around him. We didn't even know what was going on with Calle Yarncroke. And this guy was dealing with this since camp. And then today, it turns out sports hernia, groin issue, surgery month to month. Who knows when he returns?
That's months.
Yes.
Month to month is like...
So would you have been more satisfied if right off the bat with Auston Matthews, just like this guy's out long term and then just disappears?
Well,
or would the Auston Matthews question just never go away?
I just wonder... I'm curious what is going on with this guy. And I don't think I'm in the wrong for wondering that. Because you're just saying, there's something lingering. What does that mean? Because if it's... And this is what ends up happening, is speculation starts happening. And then people get bent out of shape. Well, you shouldn't be speculating. Well, then the team can just say, this is what is going on with the guy.
Right.
Like, because are we in a position now where 3 weeks in, like, is surgery being talked about? Is that happening? I don't know. He's not even skating after 3 weeks. I don't know.
Well, we don't know what it is.
Exactly.
Like,
is it his back? Is it his head? Is something going on that we're not, just like in the playoffs? This is what I can tell you what Leaf fans are wondering right now. What is going on with this guy?
It's fair to wonder because he's a superstar.
And they're not saying anything. It's just, hey, no answers, but he's not skating and he's not going to be playing this week.
I don't know about you, but I'm afraid of the dummies that are going to text me. Some not dummies. Some my friends are like, I heard it's this. And then you're like, oh, really?
Well, everybody's heard.
Do I have to actually make a call?
Well, exactly.
I was at the rink the other day and somebody told me, I heard it's this. I'm not going to repeat it because it's not my place. And I don't know if that's...
Well, we can't corroborate what it is.
Right, so I'm not going to throw it out there. But point being is, if it's something that it's just time to heal, and then, once you move on and never look back...
Perfect.
I'm fine with it.
Absolutely.
But it just... I just like the Joseph Wall, where we're tying Game 7 to Game 1, he was injured in the playoffs. Is it the same thing? That's the first thing that makes me think is like he would not admit what was wrong with him in the playoffs.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's the first thing I wanted to tie a line.
The first few days, I'm like, something's going on. And now 3 weeks later, not skating, I'm like, this is eerily similar to the playoffs where he missed playoff games.
Right.
And it was a cloak of secrecy, can't say anything, won't say anything, even after the season was over. Not getting into it, which was wild in my opinion. But maybe that's why he wouldn't get into it, because he doesn't want people flagging something in the future.
Well, if it's something that can linger, so that's my point. If it's something that is going to potentially linger, they'll take the time. You play 3 games in 13 days?
And look at how well they're playing without him.
5-1 without him.
And look
is it 5-1?
Yeah, they've beaten Edmonton. They beat Washington. Like, they're beating Boston. Maybe
beat that's
good
something,
teams.
too. They just bought themselves some time.
Which
how when guys
great.
get injured, every win, it's like more time. You just buy yourself.
If they were 1-5, it might be a little different story. That's where you're like, okay, you could kind of get him back there because he's 99% and it's not going to. But if you're 5-1 and you've got a favorable schedule, it might go, hey, give him another week and we're fine.
Yes, that definitely could be the case. I don't recall the last time a guy was day-to-day and on the Monday, 48 hours before the game, they're ruling him out. That generally doesn't happen. But that's what they've done here. Yet they've played really well without him. Yeah. Like that game on Saturday night, that was a it was a great start. And then I think the Reaves hit on Nurse took the air out of the building and air out of the game, and it slowed the game down.
I don't know.
I mean, you knew he was getting suspended. He deserved to be suspended. I wasn't sure what he was going to get. He gets 5 games in the end. I mean, it was an awful result.
That's
like it was an awful
you work backwards
result.
from the result. That's what it is. And there's certainly, listen, Ryan Reaves, I don't think he meant to do that. I think he meant to hit him hard and try and finish his check. And so that's first and foremost. But you have to be responsible. Head is a principal point of contact. There was an injury, significant. Sounds like he's going to miss 5 to 10 days.
Yep.
The good thing about it is you heard that he was joking around with the team afterwards, with the trainers and that. So he seems to be fine. They'll probably put him in a protocol, and Nurse will play in a week.
Mm-hmm.
But you're trying to take those hits, the head hits out of the game. It's Ryan Reaves. I don't know.
You know he's getting. Getting kicked out.
I thought 3, but 5
I thought
is 5.
again, it doesn't really matter. But the Tanner Janot hit, I thought was in the same vein, and he got 3.
That's
and Reaves gets 5, and it's
Reaves
like, how do you explain that?
He's a repeat of he's got a bunch of different.
He's
got a rap sheet on,
and he was flying in there too.
I will say one thing. I don't know if there was any communication from Darnell Nurse, and please do not go at me on any type of platform. I just want to tell young defensemen, you can't go around the net like that, because he was looking directly at the puck. Nobody deserves to get hit like that, but you cannot go. I don't know if the goalie didn't communicate.
I'm going a step further, because the first thing I thought about, and I've been in Stuart Skinner's position, when you see somebody coming. I got prongs destroyed one night in Edmonton. I was playing for St. Louis. He was my defenseman, and I yelled, man on, and I should have said head up. Man on is behind you. Head up is the guy in front of you. And I yelled man on, so he took a look, and it was Ethan Morrow in front of him, buried him. Prongs was pissed, and rightfully so. I'm not saying that hit or anything is Stuart Skinner's fault. I'm hoping that there is communication, but there should be. The bench should have been yelling. The guys on the ice should be yelling, because he
looked like he was completely unsuspecting. Did nobody give him a heads up that the biggest player on the ice was barreling down on him? Now, mind you, I'll say it again. Look at this. He's looking directly down on the puck. Somebody's got to give him a heads up there.
Well, and Reaves is flying in.
And Reaves, you hit a guy like that, you're going to get suspended. But for young defensemen, if you want to be looking down at the puck like that, just don't do it. Give yourself the best chance to protect yourself. I said, nobody deserves that, and Reaves got what he deserved.
Both things can be true.
Yes, you're right. And this is what we're doing, is pointing out, is there's layers to this in situations. My layer from a former goaltender is I'm saying, I'm hoping that everyone's having communication on the ice, man on, heads up, being available, because, the goalie back there is the eyes of the whole surface. And if you've got somebody that's coming around the net and somebody coming on the forecheck, you got to make sure that guys are aware.
Yeah, if a defenseman's aware there, you can do a quick little button hook, a little turn, you can avoid it to some degree.
I also think, if you want to run it again, I think Nurse was pushed, he was following.
He was kind of fumbling the puck a little bit.
He was trying to move it up the wall, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's taking it off the sideboard, and he's trying to settle the puck.
He was staring at it, digging it off the yellow.
There's no question he was.
Well,
and the thing is with Reaves, this wasn't, he didn't throw his elbow out. It wasn't a stick swinging. It wasn't retaliatory.
Oh, you could tell right away he felt bad.
Trying to be physical. He's trying to hit him. And he got him, and you're going to pay a price for it, whether or not it should have been 3 games, 4 or 5. I mean, ultimately, though, if you're the Leafs, you're looking at it, Reaves, no goals, no fights, 5-minute penalty in a big game. You can't have that either.
No.
There's a part of the Ryan Reaves conversation that has to be had.
That comes back to the bigger question, what are you actually doing?
You can't have that. You can't jam your team up when you're not scoring and you're not, you're not fighting, you're not doing much, but taking a 5-minute penalty in a big game.
Here's the thing. It's an opportunity for somebody else. The problem is that the cupboards are getting barer and barer with other guys. The
Matthews out and Pacioretty, Yarncroke.
You're going to start to test some guys. Other guys are going to get opportunities to elevate. McMahon has a nice game, so he's, he's starting to settle in. But that bottom of the roster, I'm telling you, they're, some of those guys there, they're getting opportunities. Once guys get healthy, they're going to lose their jobs or get pushed out if you're not producing in that bottom 6.
Yeah.
And that's really where you go, is you're getting production from your top 6 for the most part, if you call McMahon a top 6.
Absolutely. Well, the way he's been playing. I mean, now he's on a 25-goal pace or whatever.
Right.
It can change quickly.
Look at the TV when he blew by everybody in the neutral zone. I was like, what the hell? Who is that?
Peter Bondra. He took off down the middle of the ice.
Number 2 could
Bouchard was so awful on two of those plays.
I said to Frankie, I was texting with Frankie, there was nothing going on at 2-1.
And Bouchard throws a pizza
off
McDavid.
Did you see the look of McDavid's face when he wired that off the back?
Well, that one there, Bouchard, it was like, dude, is that the best you got to try to get back?
I think he thought that Ekholm was going to cover him, and then he looked at Ekholm and was like, Ekholm's
it was the same thing that happened the week before, where he's like, oh, it's Jeff Skinner's guy. He'll take him. And whoever it was went right down Broadway on him. And he's had some really bad, ugly plays.
Well, and you think about, we'll get into it because we got to go, but he's a guy that's playing for Four Nations.
He wants to be there. Skinner wants to be there. Four Nations face-off.
I keep calling it Four Nations.
Yeah, we'll get more into that later in the hour. The Nail Gun will join us and put a bow on the Grey Cup and how great of a season it turned out to be for the Argos. His take on the Bills beating the Chiefs yesterday as well, which was a really significant win, and I think a significant statement for Josh Allen and company.
Yeah.
And Luke coming up. Leafs are off until Wednesday. The Raptors back in action tonight at home against the Pacers. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. So the Argos win their second Grey Cup in 3 years. Winnipeg has been to 5 straight. They've lost 3 straight. And I saw the boys talking about it on SportsCenter last night. Like, how do we define the Bombers? Are they a dynasty? Like, you go to the championship game every single year, but now you're losing.
I kind of don't like that, Chad Hayes. Can't we just say that's been an awesome run? We got there was arguments on panels last night. It's not a dynasty. It is a dynasty.
How are you a dynasty
can't we just
if you
say,
lose?
But that's what I'm saying.
It's not a dynasty.
Can't we just
if
say
you
it's
lose?
awesome and that's it?
Awesome, great, but not dynasty then. Dominant, not dynasty.
Dynasties involve
You got to win.
Same
the
as
word
the GOAT
win.
combo.
win.
Let's just appreciate some solid play.
I'm not doing that. I'm not accepting that.
I'm telling you right now.
I will not accept that.
Dynasties involve the word win. Hey, they're a finals dynasty.
Like the Bills were not a dynasty in the 90s.
No.
Dynasty
they were. They went to 4 Super Bowls.
A dynasty in their conference.
I'm not doing this.
I'm
All
telling
right, well,
you,
let's
the
get
nail
the
gun will
answer that.
straighten it out for us right now. I'm telling
Go
you.
around the table. How do you think the Nail Gun's going to answer that?
He's going to agree with you and me, Hayes.
So you think Dave Naylor will say the Bombers
I think
are
he's
not
going
a
to
dynasty?
say it's an exceptional run of football over a 5-year span, and it should be recognized and appreciated.
Okay,
but not a dynasty.
Here's our TSN football insider, Dave Naylor. The Bombers, are they a dynasty?
No, they aren't. And when next time you guys get JD on the show, ask him about this because he was quite pronounced about this last night into the wee hours of the night. They are not a dynasty.
Okay.
And I got to go along with that. I think what O said is true. It's a remarkable run over 5 years in a sport with the most liberal free agency, of any. And so when you can keep it going like that over a 5-year period, it's an accomplishment certainly worthy of respect. And the weird thing about the Bombers is, they won the first 2. They lost number 3 on a final, end-of-game weirdo kicking last drive situation. They lose last year because Cody Fajardo makes the 2 throws of his life on the final drive. And they lose a game last night that on the scoreboard looks horrific. But it was a 1-point game with 7 minutes left. And there were, we stood that whole game. It felt at various times like a Bomber win was still an inevitability until all of a sudden it wasn't.
Naylor, were the Bombers screwed as soon as Collaros got hurt? Because it seemed like they weren't going to win with the other guy and they weren't going to win with him the way his hand was.
Yeah, no question, right? And their number 2, Chris Strebler, has been out since around Labor Day or the week after Labor Day. So, the guy they go to, and it was a bit of a surprise of who they went to. I mean, Terry Wilson's been their short yardage guy all season, their sneak guy. Jake Delagala, who is the other quarterback on their roster, is a guy who played a fair amount with Saskatchewan last season. I mean, he's a 6'5", kind of statuesque guy. But if you got to move the ball down the field, we all thought they would have had a better. Certainly in terms of play time, Jake Delagala is a more experienced quarterback than Terry Wilson. So that was surprising. They didn't run the ball much once they went to the backup quarterback, and you got the most outstanding player in the league in your backfield, who's averaging about 9 yards a carry. But yeah, I mean. And I think it's situational. It's at that point where Collaros got hurt was also the point where they were going to have to start taking some chances and forcing the ball down the field. And that coincided with him having the hand injury. And then, you saw what happened next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you look at the 2 games that the Argos beat the Bombers during the regular season. And I don't know if that came up enough that they had beaten Winnipeg twice already. and they were massive underdogs going into the Grey Cup. And I think in large part because of the Chad Kelly story, yet Nick Arbuckle had beaten Winnipeg in the past and plays great, yet those were low-scoring games. You know, that we asked Dinwiddie on Friday, like, is that the blueprint? Do you feel like you've got to win 17-13, 20-16? And the score ends up being 41-24, all because of the pick sixes in the fourth quarter. And it was just an incredible turn of events, how quickly it turned in the fourth quarter.
Like I say, a lot can happen in a half of football, CFL football, particularly at the end of the game. But to your point, was making that point all week, Hayes, is that like when the Argos didn't have Chad Kelly, they kind of found a formula of how to win without him. And it went like this. Win the turnover battle last night, check. Get a big play on special teams. One of their turnovers came off a special teams turnover put them in the red zone in Winnipeg. Check. Get a defensive score. Check. Have a quarterback who's going to play kind of distributor with the football. And I think that's an interesting path. We talk about the Bills, everyone eats kind of stuff. Look at the Argos. 9 different receivers, nobody with more than 4 catches, nobody with fewer than 2. I mean, the stat line is amazing to look at. You got 9 guys that have either 2, 3, or 4 in the catch column. So they really spread the ball around. And look, people who follow Canadian football, if you ever told them the Argos are going to play a Grey Cup game and Nick Arbuckle is going to throw the ball 37 times, what's the score? I would guess they lost 52-6, and that Toronto's behind the entire game, and they got no chance. That they just kept chucking it up with Arbuckle. But the fact that they got the run, I talked to a couple of their offensive coaches after the game. It's like, hey, we weren't able to run it. We put it in Nick's hands. We were going to beat them with our quicks, and their quicks meaning that the short out passes, getting the ball into your playmaker's hands, and just letting that go. And even the 2 turnovers he had, the one's basically an arm punt, like a 50-yard throw. The other one is a knockdown by a D lineman who he managed to hold on the ball. But when you're throwing the ball 37 times against that defense and that secondary, and nobody successfully jumped a route against you all game, that was something. That's a performance of a lifetime for that kid.
Yeah, it was, man. And he ends up winning the MOP of the game. And again, you talk about odds and the likelihood of that happening. And now, the Argos, they've won 2 of the last 3 Grey Cups. And last year, they felt they had the best team maybe in the history of the league. So, we talk about dynasty. If they put it together last year, we could be talking three-peat here. As you turn the page and start looking ahead to next year, what do you think is more likely? Winnipeg gets back to the big game or the Argos get back to the Grey Cup?
I might say the Argos because they don't have as old a roster. And, in a league with a cap and free agency, every once in a while you go into an off season and you just get picked apart. Well, that was the Argos last off season. I don't think they're going to be as vulnerable in free agency as they were. And, of course, they're going to have Chad Kelly back. Now, we don't know when. Like, there's a chance Chad Kelly could be back for the start of the season, but there's a pretty good, decent chance that Nick Arbuckle is going to have to start the season, which they probably feel a lot better about now than they would have 2 weeks ago. So, a lot of that, you'll see what happens with the coaching staff. A lot of times guys get picked away that way as well. But I think if you look at, the youth of that roster, I mean, even some of the receivers on that team, still like Mackay Polk and Coxie and those guys, these are not, guys, tenured guys. These are still young guys in the league. Kadeem Carey's getting on, but running back's the easiest position to replace in football. So, yeah, I think the Argonauts absolutely, will be a presence at the top of the Canadian Football League next season. And you see, it's a Winnipeg Grey Cup, home Grey Cup for Winnipeg next year. It sets up an interesting narrative for them, having gone to 5 in a row and now trying to get to one that they're hosting.
Naylor, thanks for doing this. Enjoy one of the grossest things in our business. It's getting on the flight and walking past Duthie when he's like in a bed in first class and everyone else has got just a garbage seat in the back. So enjoy that. I've had to do it myself.
Well, I parted ways with him very late at the Roxy last night, boys. You'd be glad to know. It was quite a show there.
Oh, we had no idea.
I was just about to ask. We had no idea.
We couldn't hear
like
every drink
you were singing with the band, it sounds like.
What a scene. I'll tell you, the crew was there in fine form last night. It was a great post Grey Cup celebration. And that place,
awesome.
like walking in there on a Sunday night after midnight, like doesn't anybody go to bed?
The time warp. That's what it is.
It
It's
is
a time warp.
a time warp. What a time.
What a
scene. Ask JD about it.
Oh, we will. We'll make sure to ask him about that.
He's asleep right now.
He's asleep right now. Yeah, beside the pilot on the plane. All right, safe travels. Thank you, Dave.
Hey, thanks so much, guys. Have a good show.
Dave Naylor, our TSN Football Insider.
At least he admitted it.
Oh, you can't fight it, man. Everyone, after the Grey Cup, after a long season, a long week, great coverage, you've got to blow off steam.
Eddie,
You've
Frank,
got
all
to.
of those
Blow
guys.
off steam.
There was a lot of steam blown off last night. I guarantee you.
Never know.
Exactly.
A lot of you
That
never
voice,
knows, man.
That was Dave Naylor just now.
I know, the nail gun. They
When
had
you
a great
asked,
time.
when you asked, are the Bombers going to be in the finals next year?
Like,
Never know.
That's where you go right to the hotel after after your obligations are done. You just wear it to the air. Like you have everything ready to rock.
Yep.
yeah, you got to be pre-packed.
Yeah,
because
your
you're
bag's
waking up
ready.
in a stupor the
Or
next
you're not
day.
even waking up. You're going right back to your room and you're grabbing it and jumping in a cab and you're going
Right.
to the airport.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it's 2:00 Pacific time flight.
Yeah.
They probably, who knows when you got up. Couple of cabs out to the airport. See you later.
Yeah.
But I mean, TSN, they always put on a great production. It was a great call last night, all week, great coverage, and again, credit and congratulations to the Argos winning another Grey Cup, second in 3 years. All right, we'll come back and get into where the Leafs go from here. They got Vegas on Wednesday night. Raptors back in action tonight. You got Edmonton and Montreal tonight. McDavid was flying around at times on Saturday. So we'll continue to look back on that win by the Leafs. And again, Matthews not playing on Wednesday night, but the Leafs have not missed him so far. They've been really good without him. So that more still to come. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Luke Wilson coming up. Millie Vanilli Wilson. That's what people are calling this team. Shameful. I won't put up for it. I will not accept that.
Dude,
I won't allow for it.
I just saw the video.
I'm pushing back on it.
That's the stupidest video I've ever seen, and I know you made it.
Got his
up.
Hazenbro hat.
I
It's
had my
it's
Hazenbro
garbage.
hat on.
It's garbage.
I had to.
Maybe my parts. He might have a statement. I don't know.
Okay.
He
we'll
needs
see.
to. He needs to. do
Something's
something.
gotta
You guys
happen
need
here.
a statement game. That's what you need. You need a statement. Are you guys on the clock
They're
tonight?
on the clock tonight. If they get it wrong, it's an immaculate week for us, and we're +2 and probably never look
But
back.
it's a tough matchup because of what is 7.5 points?
Yeah, it's 7.5.
And the
both
Cowboys
teams
stink.
The Cowboys are brutal. And you see that
Danny DeVito's-
your boy Danny DeVito's in for the Giants.
Dude, I
Danny
can't
Dimes.
even watch this game. I have invested interest,
I
but
know.
I don't know if I can watch because of the quality of garbage.
U.S. Thanksgiving is Cowboys Giants. Danny DeVito, a.k.a. Tommy DeVito, against Cooper Rush. That's the game that Americans and Canadians are
would
going to have
they-
to watch.
What is that called? Would they flex that game?
No, you can't. There's 3 games on
Dude, you gotta flex
Thanksgiving.
it. You gotta flex
You can't.
it. Do
you
it.
can't.
You gotta.
Why
It's
can't you flex
Lions
it?
because it's a U.S. Thanksgiving game. Like
I
there's
know,
there's
but-
the Lions play at 12:30, the Cowboys play at 4, and then there's the 8:25 game, and that's it. And I think I want to say it's Packers Dolphins the night game, and I think the Lions are playing the Bears.
Pierre LeBrun and Chris Johnston must be sick to their stomach.
Well, they can be sick all they want. They're going to be subjected to it, and you're going to have to watch it.
Man, those Bears are trash again. There's so much
They
trash.
sure are,
like
man.
the Bears are trash.
They sure are. It's ugly. So more on that with Luke coming up in 20 minutes. So the Leafs don't play again until Wednesday, but that was an impressive win on Saturday night. Like you're down 2-1, and then Draisaitl ties it up late. That overtime was unbelievable. The Mitch Marner shift where panic set in when he was one-on-one with McDavid. He started skating forward,
Well,
which
dude,
you have to.
Didn't you think at the
You have to.
beginning of the game, watch it looked like McDavid and Draisaitl were going 100 miles faster than everybody on the ice.
McDavid was. for
McDavid
sure.
was,
He was
flying on
They were
Saturday.
going
flying.
100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
He was.
He was buzzing around.
I was
that
like,
rink.
these guys are going to do some serious damage tonight.
Yeah.
And they did their damage, but it was minimal.
Well, I thought there was a couple, and Hayes, you pointed to it. The 5-minute power play. If the Oilers score, like if you get 1 or 2 on a 5-minute there, that might have put the game away in a different. I thought Stolarz made an unbelievable left pad save, where it would have been a tap in for Hyman on the back door, but it was a great read by him. I thought Stolarz played really
Playing
well.
good,
He has
man.
been
Really well.
lights out basically every start.
Really well, because he made a right pad save on the back door on Derek Ryan. He partial breakaway on Brown, Connor Brown short-handed,
Yep.
got the glove on
That's
it.
right.
Jamie, don't you think the biggest part about him is the timeliness of it? Because in the past, and like when Allmark's been good in Ottawa, it's like in the past they just that they don't get that save.
Well,
there,
you
and they're
need-
behind. The
you need
timeliness of
saves.
Stolarz has been incredible.
The timeliness of his saves, and the guy at the other end didn't make the timely saves, because you could go, okay, we were talking about it. Bouchard, I don't know what the hell he was doing with 5 minutes
Both
passing
of them.
both
of
those
them.
plays.
The nice goal and the
But how about a
McMahon goal.
save? Like, a save
Yeah.
can keep you. You say it all the time. A save can keep you out of the video room.
Yeah.
You get one big save in there. Okay, it looks different. But that play in overtime alone, like Mitch Marner, that's breaking up the play. That's why I brought up Stolarz. He made a good right pad save.
Yes, he did.
McDavid gets kind of around, changes the angle.
On the one-on-one, McDavid got it off.
He gets it off. Like this, but this play here.
That looks like Paul Coffey at the 87 Cup, Canada Cup. Remember
it is,
that?
Breaking it up and going the other way. But look at the goal.
Man, Skinner was awful. I'm sorry. And people, the online reaction, there's a couple of things that need to be addressed here. Let's begin with Mitch Marner, who was, I thought, brilliant the other night. I think he's been great. Ever since Matthews was out,
he has
completely stepped up, and he has played like a rock star. And
just a note on that. He is every year. We always have this conversation about how good he is.
Yes, absolutely. Every single year, that's who he is. He's a top 20 or top 25 player in the world. That's what he is. And that's what is to be expected. And he's compensated for that. He's not making $750,000. Guy makes $11 million. You better be making plays like that. And the way he read that play, the way he got it off in overtime was brilliant. And listen, we do a lot of content on the Leafs, a lot of content on Mitch Marner, and there was a lot talked about last year and in previous years, and we all know his contract is up after this season. The reaction to anything he does is so visceral, both sides.
Good or bad, you mean?
It is wild. Like, I tweeted out simply facts on Saturday night. I'm like, what a world-class shift by Mitch Marner.
Which it was.
So one-on-one with McDavid where he's like, I got to get back and try to block this guy and push him outside, which he did. McDavid still got the shot off. Great stop by Stolarz. Then McDavid wins the battle, pushes it out of the zone. 2-on-1. He reads it beautifully, goes down 2-on-1, and he scores. Unbelievable play by Marner.
Right.
I got dozens, if not hundreds of reactions. Half of them, pay the guy right now. Have to pay him right now. The other half, let's see it in the playoffs. I can't believe it. It's like you cannot just live in the moment with Mitch Marner. It has grown to this point, and I know people are going to say, here goes the hypocritical Hayes take, because you guys feed it. And I understand. We talk about it. That's what we do for a living. We talk about it for a living. But I don't know what this guy's going to do in the playoffs, and I don't know what the contract extension is going to look like, if it's going to happen at all. But in the moment, watching that guy play, if you can't just sit back and embrace that, that's on you.
What the hell? I just said that about the dynasty talk. Yeah. Why can't we just say that's acceptable?
Well, because dynasty's a fun conversation.
Yeah, legacy and dynasty, those are words.
Those are fun conversations.
But I do agree with you in the moment. Why can't you say, what a play by a great player for that particular moment?
Right.
Why does it have to grow into this monster of do it in the playoffs? Why isn't he signed right now? It's insane.
There's nothing in the middle. It's either you got to pay that guy whatever he wants right now because he scored in overtime, or I turned it off when he was on the 2-on-1 because I'll turn it back on in April or May. And when he does that in Game 7, and both are true. I understand that. He's got to do that in the playoffs.
That's just,
he should.
That's the online reaction. But, pay him right now. Okay, what if he chooses not to sign here?
Well, it's a two-way street.
Like, that's the other thing that's, I don't want to say it's the elephant in the room. We have no idea what's being talked about, whether he's asked for an extension, whether they've offered one, and they said, you know what, let's deal with it at the end of the season. Because he's not talking about it. He's playing hockey. I kind of chuckled because I saw your tweet and I laughed because I'm like, this guy, I said at the start of the season, he's going to have a great season, and people are going to be like, you got to give him as much money as possible.
Having a great season. It's a great player.
I don't think he had the best start.
No.
But I think in this last 6 to 8 game stretch,
incredible play.
Matthews going down, this guy has stepped up. And Willie stepped up, and Tavares has stepped up. And that's why they're winning games.
You are allowed to celebrate a great play. If McDavid goes end-to-end on that play and goes bar down on Stolarz, they're going to go, hey, what a great play.
Play that thing a million times because it's one of the great plays of the year.
I look at it. I thought there were pockets of that game the other night that was just good hockey, like really good hockey. And
good
then the
teams.
Reaves hit, I think kind of put a damper on things, unfortunately. But it ended up, it was a good hockey game between two good teams.
And I was going to say, the other guy who draws a reaction is that Stuart Skinner. And
and Evan Bouchard, you could throw.
Bouchard is a polarizing player right now.
In Edmonton.
In Edmonton in particular. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The amount of people, and purely anecdotal, and I don't know if it's a science necessarily based on what happens online and interactions with, Leaf fans, Oiler fans, or hockey fans in general. But Skinner is struggling. And his game the other night, that was an ugly performance at times. And Bouchard as well. And you mentioned it earlier in the hour. We're getting into best on best here. And
somewhat best on best.
Somewhat best on best with the face-off. But the Olympics are the next year.
Yes.
And that's best on best.
Yeah.
And if there are question marks on whether you can trust Skinner, I think it's even more pronounced with Bouchard, because Skinner, you just don't have to play him. Play one of the other guys. Bouchard, if you're going to be on the team and you're risking that kind of play, you can't have him on the team.
I know, but you have to go back. Did you watch him in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Looked very good.
He was the best defenseman
in
any series played.
So which one are you going to get?
Well,
that's for someone in Hockey Canada to figure out.
Because that's terrifying what you saw on Saturday night.
That's the question.
Yeah, like a tie game, 4 nations, and you just throw a pizza up someone's ass.
Waffle up the middle of the ice?
Honest to God, I wish.
Off Sid's ass and in?
I wish we had like that Hawkeye vision where you could turn. Because I think the look on McDavid's face when he banged it off, it was like.
I got a text from a casual hockey fan that said, "Hey, did you see the guy throw the pass off the guy's ass in the middle of the ice? What was he doing?"
Like McDavid's not even really supporting there because he's like, I can't help you at this point.
I think McJesus wanted to break his stick.
Well, it just. But here's the other thing: like that, if you look at it, if you look from behind the net, I think Skinner was surprised too, because it's not like Nyes picked the corner. That's 1.5 feet inside the. If you look where the puck went on Skinner. Like, that's not a perfectly placed inside the post. Like, he's 6'4". Like, you've got to, again, I'm not going to lay it all at the goaltender's feet because you shouldn't have a muffin or a pizza. But once in a while,
got to have a stop.
Stolarz has covered up some of the mistakes. You know, if a guy gives it away or whatever, a goaltender can help bail out. We're not talking about that play if Skinner just makes a right pad save and you move on. I'm not talking about McMahon blowing through everyone. Like Skinner, I think, hesitated. I don't even know what he was doing.
Well, it's kind of like Logan Thompson the night before.
Exactly.
Where he's like, what am I supposed to do
it was
here?
Ahead, but I don't know if you can win that foot race.
Yeah.
You got caught in between. And then Marner's goal in overtime, beautiful play by him.
But you could tell he caught him leaning. He was leaning.
He was cheating glove.
Yeah.
And
but he wasn't even cheating pass, which was weird. Like with Marner, I could understand it if he cheated pass.
Yeah, but watch right before the shot, he kind of leans to his left leg for the glove, and Marner, see that?
Yeah,
that little lean,
Neal.
and he picks it off. That's a great goal scorer.
But he's cheating. He's like, Marner's almost selling like he's going to go short
watch
side
the
glove.
lean. Watch the lean. Boom, gone.
Yeah. And that was a bullet of a shot.
But your angles, like you're 6'4". You got to be 6'4". Like
you got to come out and take that on.
I just didn't love Skinner's game. I think Bouchard, unfortunately, he's polarizing. Keep in mind, they only had 5D, and they had to roll those guys out quite a bit.
Right, but he's going to play a lot anyway.
The goalie took his team to the finals within one game, and the defenseman was the best defenseman in the playoffs.
And they're not playing their.
What are you? Like what? That's what somebody from Hockey Canada's got to say. What the hell are you?
But in a short term, this is the question. This is why I don't like the team being announced in 2 weeks.
It is insane.
Because
insane they
what if they get their act together by January 28th and Bouchard has 14
and Jamie,
goals?
you know the two nations that asked for the extended. They're America and it's Canada because they've got guys that are playing like garbage and they want to see them for another
100%,
month.
100%. Because you're looking at him, but December 2nd they're going to choose a team and. Zach Hyman's going to have 8 goals, or whatever it is. Like you're going to look at the roster and say, we're going on reputation, what we believe these players are, not what they're playing like this season or the last 2 months. That's what's interesting. That's why you and I were talking about the goaltending. I'm more going what guys have done, because if it's what you're doing, then it's Logan Thompson and Anthony Stolarz.
That's
That's
honestly
really what it is, because Logan Thompson has played really well for.
Isn't it Binnington's net? Like
Binnington's going to be the guy.
He'd have to have 2 shoulder surgeries for him not to be the goalie.
I agree, but his numbers are not very good.
So they're not like his goals saved above expectation is -4 goals. So he's. But that's the thing. There's a lot of guys that are on the positive. Logan Thompson, I think, is +9.
I don't know if you can make a projection based on a statistic like that or an analytical number like that. But what is staggering and what has been a truth for quite some time is that we're in a weird pocket for Canadian goaltending.
We are, man.
Like it's unlike anything I've ever seen in my lifetime, where it was Fuhr into Waugh, into Brodeur, into Luongo, into Price, with backups like Belfour and Cujo and guys I just named were backing up at times. And now it's like, I guess Binnington could play. Like, that is scary.
Well, that's what we're talking about. I guess that guy's going to be
the guy. Maybe that guy could be.
By the way, we're going to do a big hockey bonanza on Friday. 20-game mark is coming up in the NHL.
Well, like I said,
Doogie's
I
jacked
pointed
for
out.
that.
20-game hot takes after 20 games all around. Canada goaltending might come up.
I can't wait for that.
But the other thing, too,
Black
is
Friday bonanza.
I pointed this out. The last 7 out of 10 Stanley Cup goaltending winners are Canadians. So they've gotten the job done. And that's the other point is if Team Canada is a good team in front of them,
that should go a long way.
That should go a long way.
Should go a long way.
You just have to be good. You don't have to be great.
Let me ask you this. If they played their first game tomorrow and you were tasked with putting the starting goaltender in net and somebody called you and say, handpick the goalie that's starting in net for Canada tomorrow, who would it be? Tomorrow, the game starting.
It'd probably be Binnington because I think he's the most stable out of those guys. He had a good season statistically last year. Yeah, he's -4 goals this year, but St. Louis isn't a playoff team. No. They're not very good.
Big game player.
I think he can play. He's a fiery guy. You're choosing one guy, and I wouldn't be mad if it was Aiden Hill, if it was Darcy Kemper, if it was Stuart Skinner. All of these guys, all they have to do is be good. They don't have to be great because the best goalies in the world, who I think is Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, they didn't win Stanley Cups last year. Yeah. So they lost in the playoffs on the biggest stage last year, even though they were the best goaltenders. Hellebuck, same situation, won the Vezina, lost in the first round. So I think the team contributes to what the goalies do.
Okay.
That's where I'm at with that.
Luke Wilson coming up in studio. Luke Wilson.
Yes.
Millie and/or Vanilli. Not sure which one yet, but we'll classify that. Although I'm not going to do that because I won't accept that kind of behavior from anybody.
Yes.
But we got a big one tonight. Cowboys, Texans. We'll look back on some big wins yesterday by a number of really good teams. So Luke's coming up back into the NHL scene tonight. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.